Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm talking with Libby about making whole wheat bread, and I'll be using my mother's recipe, an adaptation from the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook in the 1948 edition.
Are you going to talk to us a little bit about your bread making process?
Yes, this is actually my mother's recipe, somewhat modified after watching YouTube videos, of course. What I do is, and you may notice my bread bowl is dirty, and I don't intend to wash it till Days of Unleavened Bread in the spring, because when you watch village ladies cooking with a dough trough, which in essence this is, they don't wash it out. They scrape it out. Eventually, this will be inoculated and it will be really good. So anyway, that's why I do that.
Okay.
So first off, I'm going to put 2.5 teaspoons of salt.
And you'll use it, is that the pink Himalayan salt?
Yes, I really like this.
Yeah.
And I use brown sugar cubes,
Oh.
3. And then I also need to add a knob of butter. Okay, and we pour 2.5 cups of boiling water over that and stir it. Now, because this water is boiling, we cannot add the yeast yet, because it would kill the yeast. But
So why do you add boiling water then and not just warm water?
I'm going to be making whole wheat bread. So one of the things that people discover about whole wheat bread making is they don't like it because it's so dry. The crumb is dry when the bread is baked. And one of the ways to overcome that is to hydrate half your flour anyway. So that's what this boiling water process will do. Then I will start adding the flour. And I'm going to do 3 full cups of whole wheat flour and use this Danish dough whisk to whisk it up. Now again, this is drawing from the leftover flour and yeasty stuff on the edges of my bowl. So it is only adding really good stuff to my mixture. All right, so we will set that down, and now what we want is for this to cool down, but we want it to give enough time for the boiling water to hydrate the flour. And actually, in order to facilitate the cooling down process, let's stir it some more. It's amazing how fast it does cool down. And again, the only way to test it is to stick your finger in the middle of it and make sure it's not boiling anymore, that it just feels like something on the inside of your wrist. And you can see the steam rising, so it's got a minute or 2 to go yet. Still just a wee bit hot. I think it's cool enough now. Basically, this is about the proportions of a yeast packet if you were using like Fleischmann's or something like that.
Otherwise, 3 teaspoons.
Yeah, roughly. And then you stir this, and you let this, then you cover this and keep it warm until you see the bubbles working. And then you know the yeast is good and you didn't kill it, and it's ready for the next process. And I have to remember I have a glass bowl and I can't be banging it too hard. Okay. Okay, now this time we want to retain the heat. And if it's cold in your house, you can use a brewing mat and under the bowl, and it will. So now it's just a matter of giving it 5-10 minutes or so to make sure that the yeast is working, and then we can proceed. See the bubbles?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you can even see it bubble. I'm literally bubbling.
Wow. So alive.
Yes. So now you start with 2 full cups and a half. And this marvelous little tool, you stick down in your flour bin, and now it gently dusts the flour without having a whole gob. Now this is full of flour. So when I go to use it, it will sprinkle flour without adding too much to the dough. Now, I have a KitchenAid, and I could put this in the KitchenAid with a dough hook, and it would be done in lickety-split. But there's something satisfying about using the best tools, the best hand tools. When my husband died, or before he died, he was all for acquiring hand tools. And so I'm not a carpenter and a woodworker like he was, but I'm a cooker, a baker, so I want the best tools available. I want to use a little bit of this. And again, you can see it's a nice moist dough. It's absorbed those 2.5 cups that I put in very easily.
Do you bake bread often for Homer?
Yes. He was a teetotaler. He did not drink anything. And so if I wanted to cook with wine because I like French cooking, I had to finagle. He said he didn't like the taste of the aftertaste on his tongue from alcohol, beer, whatever. So I had to learn how to sneak it in carefully. And
Did you taste it? Did you ever guess?
he never guessed. And he says, I don't know why people drink. And one day I went out, I was picking dandelions, and I was going to make a coffee substitute. So I went out in the garden and picked some dandelions and some roots and brought them in and chopped them up and put them in the oven to dry them. And when they were done and I opened the oven, I got hit with this blackberry and chocolate smell from the dandelions. And I went, oh! So I set them aside and I went out and got some more roots. And I chopped them up and put them in the oven and roasted them. And I said, come here, honey. And he came in and I said, I want you to trust me. I want you to close your eyes and open your mouth and breathe in what's coming out of the oven. And he looked at me kind of funny and I said, just trust me. I'm not going to hurt you. Just trust me. So he leant over and he closed his eyes and he opened his mouth and took breath, and I opened the oven door and I said, now tell me what you smell or taste. And he says, I smell blackberries and chocolate. I said, that's why people drink. I said, it's that flavor and smell on your palate and tongue and your nose that depending upon the vintage or the type of liqueur or hard whatever it is, I said, it's that people, they're after the taste. He said, I still aren't going to drink. I said, that's okay. I said, if you only knew, you've been doing it all along. Okay, so this is you want to make sure that you get as much flour in so that when you grab the yeast, grab the dough and pull your hand away, it doesn't stick. So at this point, now we're definitely going to have to use this. Now to make sure that it's risen double, you poke 2 holes in it and I always use a plate so I don't get yuck on my towel. And then I put this around it, and then you just let it rise and then you put it in the pan once it's risen.
So how long have we got while it rises?
Anywhere from half an hour to an hour, depends on the ambient temperature in the room.
Okay.
Anyway, that's how hard it is to make bread. Now you can use whole wheat flour, you can use white flour, you can use teff or sorghum flour or chickpea flour or all kinds of different flours. Mixtures of flours can be used. But basically, that recipe will make any bread you want. I've already put some olive oil in that one. And you smash the dough kind of into a rectangle. And then from either side, last time I did the other side, we'll do it this way. You pinch your layers together as you roll it. And this seals so you don't get tunnels in the bread. And it doesn't have to look pretty because this is going to be on the bottom, but you want to make sure that everything is well pinched so that the top side is pretty when you actually get it to rise. And you put it in a greased pan, and then you flop it over and let it rise.
And how long is this rising?
This will take about as long as this did.
Okay.
So not very long, particularly with the mat. The mat really speeds up the process. And again, my bowl is ready for the next time, and I just turn it over. No mousies can get in there, and it's ready to go again. Now, when you take bread out of the oven, you want to make sure you get a hollow sound. Otherwise, you need to put it back in the oven because it's not quite done. And there you go. Theoretically, you're not supposed to cut it till it's totally dry. I mean, totally cool, but that's okay. In America, you would just take a slice of butter. The French do it this way.
Oh.
They make butter curls. So you're getting the real deal here. French bread, but bread baked in France with real live butter curls. The way a lady would do it. After all, I am the little old lady, right?